Hey everyone, Emily here and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making one of my favorite things to bake this time of the year, Christmas cookies, and I'm going to be using this recipe out of my grandma's cookbook for her Christmas ginger cookies, and these are really good, one of my favorites this time of the year. I'll show you how to make this. Let's get started. We'll get started by creaming together 1 cup of butter and 1.5 cups of sugar. So I'll just pop in 2 sticks of butter into my stand mixer, and I'll add in my 1.5 cups of granulated sugar. I'll start this on a low speed initially, and once everything starts to come together, I'll turn it up, and this will take a few minutes before everything comes together and blends really well. While the butter is creaming together, I'm going to zest 1 whole orange. Now I'm going to use a little bit of it for the actual batter, and I'm going to reserve the rest for the icing later on. These are just slightly different from a traditional gingerbread cookie. They have this nice hint of orange in there, and if you use the orange juice for the icing as well, it gives it a really nice flavor. And they have a little bit less spice to them as well. So if you usually find traditional gingerbread cookies to be a little bit too overpowering, you might prefer these. I have my orange all zested. I'm going to set this aside and save the zest for the next step. My butter and sugar have been going for a little while now. I'm just going to kind of scrape down the sides of the bowl here. This still has a little bit of a grainy texture, so I'm going to let this beat for a few more minutes before I start adding in the rest of my ingredients. My butter and sugar mixture are well combined, so I'm going to crack in 1 egg, let this beat for a minute or 2, and then I'm going to start with the rest of my ingredients. I'll add in half of my orange zest, about 1.5 tablespoons. 1 tablespoon of water and 2 tablespoons of molasses. I'll scrape down the sides of my bowl one more time and let all of these wet ingredients come together really well, and then I'll add in my dry ingredients. I'm going to combine my dry ingredients together in a separate bowl before I add them into my wet ingredients. I'll add in 3 1/4 cups of regular white flour. When you're measuring your flour, be careful not to pack this tightly into the measuring cup. It's best to scoop into the cup instead of to scoop the cup into the flour. That way you don't end up with too much flour and your cookies won't be dense. To that, I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of ground cloves, and if you like it even more mild than this, you can always reduce the amount of cloves and ginger you add in. And I'll add in 1 teaspoon of ground ginger. Mix this together really well to combine it all. Oh, and I forgot the salt. Add in just a pinch of salt to this, so a couple of cracks of this. I'm going to add this slowly to my wet mixture so that I don't get this flour flying everywhere. I'll start off by adding in about 1 cup of this mixture, and I'll run this on a very low speed. Once that first batch of flour mixture is totally combined, I'll add in the next 1/2 cup, and I'll just continue to slowly add this until everything's incorporated. I just added the last little bit of the flour mixture, so I'm going to turn this up slightly, let it finish mixing, and then we'll be ready to roll these out. I'm going to lightly flour a work surface for my dough, as well as my rolling pin. Now I'll take my dough and I'll kind of turn this right out onto the floured countertop. I formed this into a ball, and I'm going to work with about 1/4 of it at a time. And the best part about this is you can just stop right here. You can refrigerate these, you can freeze these, and come back to them when you're ready to throw your cookies together. With your floured rolling pin, gently roll this out until it's about 1/4 of an inch thick. Once your dough is rolled out, gently press in your cookie cutters. And then I like to use a knife to gently just go underneath these and lift them up. Place them onto a nice parchment-lined baking sheet. Then you just repeat the process until you have a tray full of cookies. And any of these scraps you have left behind, I just form it into another ball, roll it back out, and cut a few more cookies out of it. You can do this about 2 more times before there gets to be a little too much flour in the mixture. I'm going to continue rolling out and cutting more cookies, but in the meantime, this tray is ready for the oven. This is going to take about 8 to 10 minutes at 350 degrees. These smell amazing and they look perfectly done. You can tell that they're done when the edges are just lightly browned. You don't want to let them go any further than that or you're going to wind up with burnt, really crunchy cookies. While these cool, I'm going to work on my icing, and this is a really simple recipe. I'm going to add in about 1 cup of powdered sugar. And then for my liquid, instead of using water or milk like I usually would, I'm going to slice open my orange. And I'm going to use that orange juice. So I'm going to squeeze in about a tablespoon or 2 of orange juice and give this a mix. And this is one of those things that's really hard to just measure. You really have to eyeball it and go off of the consistency. So I'm just going to keep on adding in liquid, and you can supplement with a little bit of water until this is good spreadable consistency. And if you go too far and you add in a little bit too much liquid, you can always add back in a little bit more powdered sugar. So this is a really easy recipe. That looks good, and now I'm going to add in the rest of my orange zest, and this is going to make it really pretty and also give it a really nice orange flavor. These have totally cooled off, so now they're ready to decorate, and I like to do this directly on the tray because it keeps things nice and neat. I'll do a nice layer of my powdered sugar icing. And this looks really pretty just as it is because of the orange zest, but I'm going to add on a few little gold sprinkles to that. So pretty. I think this icing is so pretty just as it is, but if you wanted to add in some food coloring and make this a little bit more Christmassy, you would just add in that food coloring while you're adding in your liquid ingredients, so in this case the orange juice, and you'll add just a little bit less orange juice because that food coloring is going to thin things out a bit. The cookies are all iced and they look beautiful, so let's give them a try and see how they turned out. These are my absolute favorite gingerbread cookies. They still have that nice gingerbread flavor, but it's not too intense, and there's that nice little hint of orange in there. It's not a very overpowering flavor. You get just a little hint of orange with both the zest in the batter of the cookie dough as well as in the icing with the zest and the juice. It's a really nice combination, and I hope you try it and I hope you like it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, don't forget to hit subscribe and the bell icon so you can get notified every time I post. You can find the full recipe to this, as always, in the description box down below. And if you try this recipe, or if you have a suggestion for another recipe that you'd like me to try, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hope to see you back here next time.